All right. Boom. You can see me. This is going to be a short but really good little stream. Clean that. Boom, boom, boom. All right. First thing is your beliefs dictate your results. So let's have a look. I was reading this book and I just decided to kind of jump on a bit of a stream this morning before work. So the point is to do great things in life. Sorry, let me just start again. To do great things in life without us knowing they're going to happen. Let me give this more context. We have to visualize things in order for us to build something that we would like to do in our life. I feel like because I've already started this conversation in my head, it still doesn't make sense. So let me restart for a third time, okay? Let me write this down. Beliefs create the results. What do you believe in? Visualization is the first step. Okay, you have to visualize exactly what you would like to do in order to see a similar outcome. Now, I follow this very strongly. A pilot that flies a plane, in order for them to land the plane, they have to do a checklist. They have to check off everything. Okay, and in order to do that, they follow a process. That process is built inside of their brain, which then is called a habit. Okay, but first, okay, they already know the next steps, that there is visualization. They are visualizing what they have to do. The next step: pull the wheels down, set off certain turbines, lower the power, pull the I don't know what you call it, the steering wheel. The steering wheel. You have to pull it down, so it changes the trajectory of the plane. We're coming in for landing. Then at a certain level, they've got to pull it up so the back wheels hit first. This is visualization. I'm not a pilot, but I'm visualizing what actually has to happen. You have to visualize it, all right? Visualize exactly the steps on what you would take in order to land this plane. And then in order to do that, you have to believe that you can. Henry Ford said, if you believe that you can, then you can. But he also said, if you believe that you can't, then you're also correct. So beliefs create the results, okay? What if it goes wrong? What if you believe something to go right and it still goes wrong? Well, then fall forwards. You will know what to do and what to not do the next time. The rope around your ankle. This is mindset thinking, okay? This is mindset thinking. When an elephant is born in a circus, it weighs about 500 pounds, right? As soon as possible, the trainers tie a 15-foot-long, 3/4-inch rope around its ankle. The rope is then tied to a stake. And then from then on, the elephant's whole existence takes place within this 30-foot circle, okay? Let's say the elephant grows up to be about 10,000 pounds. Do you think he can still be controlled with the rope? What is your answer? Sadly, yes. Okay? The elephant believes the rope will hold him no matter how big he gets, and eventually the trainers don't need to use the rope anymore. It's built that mental prison inside, putting it that way. And eventually the trainers don't even need to use the rope anymore. They show the elephant the stake, and he automatically thinks he has to stay within the 15 to 30 feet of it. The physical rope is now a mental rope, okay? This is the elephant's belief. This is what it believes because it's what it's been programmed, okay? In the contradiction industry, many of us are a lot like those elephants. We start out with a fresh mind. As we don't know what to think yet, as we undertake training in our trade, however, we start to be conditioned by people who are training us, who were conditioned in the same way by the people who trained them. Okay? Acknowledging that there is a mental rope limiting your success is the first step towards freedom. Remember that. Okay? If you think you can, then you can. But if you think you can't, then you can't. Okay? You have to take everything with a grain of salt and test the waters yourself. If someone teaches you one way and it works, great. Find another way. Open your mind up to thinking a different way. Okay? Think outside the box, outside the mental prison, outside the mental rope. This is a story about a man, okay? A young HVAC contractor. I'm going to speak in terms of him. I had a mental rope that tied me to the idea that my services were only worth a certain amount. For example, I used to think the cost to install gas valves was $300 to $400. Before I left the trades, I was getting about $2,500 for every one of those calls. You might be thinking, that's crazy. You must have been ripping people off, as if I was just selling the customer a gas valve. You'd be right. But I didn't just sell them a gas valve. I also looked at the age of the system, the level of neglect, the services I had received over its lifetime, and the customer's awareness. I knew enough their whole system to be able to be I knew enough about their whole system to be able to offer the customer at least 3 options. One at the very bottom and at least 2 at the top. Unfortunately, the industry doesn't look at things as creatively as I do. We're going to then talk about how to take the rope off your ankle so you can charge what you need to charge or not. So that there is him thinking outside the box in a way that you're breaking out of that mental prison to get creative. Okay, the second you start to think, your brain is a fucking magical thing, okay? So you can start to think of things if you give your brain better problems to solve. The brain is nothing but a solving mechanism, and it will do its best to solve it. And if it can't, don't beat yourself up about it, okay? Just let it come. Let it come. Let your mind be able to do those certain things, okay? Don't dwell on it. I mean, dwell on it if you like, but don't run yourself down if you can't get it. It's not the fact that you can't get it. You've just got to give yourself the time to get creative with it, okay? Think differently. Acknowledging that there is a mental rope limiting your success is the first step to freedom, okay? That there is awesome. That part is awesome, okay? Do you know why it's awesome? Because that's the part that actually starts to help you unlock the different levels of your life, okay? I feel like when you start to think of things in a creative way or start to think outside the box, you will then start to be able to open your perspective up to life a different way. by changing, it's the same, it's like chess. Life is like a game of chess, okay? You're the king, okay? It's the same game, different moves. You know what I mean? Turn the board on an angle, you might see something from a different angle. Take out another piece in order for another piece to come through. Sacrifice another piece, okay, a part of your life for a better opportunity. You make the moves. Beliefs. What do you believe in? What do I believe in? Okay? The other day at work, I got asked, okay, so if I got into a car crash, all right? If I got into a car crash, what would that do for me if I was the only person in my family making money? If I got into a car crash, how would that affect me? I said it wouldn't. Okay? Well, I asked specific questions. I said, okay, so how bad is this car crash? Do I break my arm? Do I, break a toe? And the bloke said to me, no. You lose your legs. Okay, great, cool, boom, done. I already know what I'm going to do, okay? I've got a voice. I can train this voice. I can still sell. I can still virtually jump on Zoom calls, team calls, and still present, still help elsewhere, okay? That doesn't hinder me. That means my family doesn't suffer. That means everyone underneath me, well, not so much underneath me, that's the wrong choice of words, that are relying on me are still okay? Because that's me. I won't stop. I will continue to go and build everything and do what I need to do to get the things that I desire in life. Now, everyone desires different things, okay? But for myself, it is creating something in the world where people don't need to rely on what they are, okay? They can rely on me. I'm the vehicle, okay? Except this vehicle needs to be healthy. This vehicle needs to be clear. This vehicle needs to be able to drive this vehicle in a way that everything is either automatic or that no one else needs to, how do I say it? Worry. Everyone's going to have their own worries and stuff like that. And look, I could just be building a bit of a fantasy, but it goes back to belief. This is what I believe in. This is what I will do. Anyway, I feel like I'm just rambling now. Beliefs create the results. As a man thinketh, so is he. Okay? You need a goal. I'm not going to tell you my goals. I think you could already see where my goals are. But in order to have a goal, right, you need to actually plan for the plan to not go to plan at the same time. Keep that in mind. All right? Get obsessed with it. Get obsessed with all of this. Purely because what it will make of you in the future. Brian Tracy also said, some people work harder in their jobs than on themselves. He says it like that too. That you should work harder on yourself than on your job. But what will that do if you work harder on yourself? It'll snowball effect into your job. He also said something else, okay? This is what he says. Profits are better than wages. Wages make you a living. Profits make you a fortune. Start earning profits while making a living. You can get the best of both worlds. Okay? Going back to the scenario, if I lost my legs, I've still got my voice to sell, a voice to speak, to serve, to do things like that. Okay? Your voice, your mind, your brain is one of the strongest things that you can actually build as a character and as a skill. Okay? Now I've got Brian Tracy emanating all in the body. But he's correct. He's not wrong. Okay? You need to also ask yourself the loyalty you have for your own rules and process. Okay? Are you loyal to the process? Are you loyal to your rules? If not, you're doing yourself a disservice. You're also being unloyal to yourself. Always do more than you get paid for to make an investment in your future, for what it'll make of you. Okay? Face your fears. That's how you conquer them. Ask for wisdom. That creates the answer. That there is thinking outside the box. Okay? 100%. Look, Steve Jobs also said, this is what Steve Jobs said. You have to trust in something. Your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever it is. Because believing that the dots will connect down the road will give you the confidence to follow your heart, even when it leads you off the well-known path. It goes back to me saying, trust the plan to not go to plan, but think outside the box. The goal will never change, but the path might take you down somewhere where you need to go for a little bit, you know? Embrace that path, embrace it. Embrace exactly what you're going down. You never know where it might take you until you get there. The goal might be the same, okay? Well, will be. But you have to have the goal. Do you know why? Because that's your steering wheel inside the vehicle. This is the vehicle, this is the driver. But if you've got no steering wheel, which is also the goal, you don't know where you're going. This is the car. You got a steering wheel, okay? You can steer yourself to the goal. Does this align with my goal? Even if you don't think that it's going to get you to your goal, embrace it as an experience for what the wisdom will bring for you. That's what you need to do. There's another part in this book that I really love. You can't change an event, but you can influence the outcome of it by the way you respond, okay? I learned this as well. The first word should always be a breath. Your breath, not a word. If you speak without breathing, you're reacting. That first breath is the first word. So, when you're speaking and someone asks you a question that you don't know how to answer, think. Be confident enough to say, to do this. I understand that what you've said is blah, 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 blah. And that's how you kind of go about it. You know, that's simply that. And after that, I do want to get into some trading though, because I'm also looking at this. But let's continue on a little bit of mindset. keeping your mind tight, okay, is something very good to do. And what I mean by tight is it's also not being secretive, but it's letting things play out in a way that you can benefit from. You know what I'm saying? It's being smart. And that's what I mean by reacting as well. You don't have to react when someone asks you a question. I can't think of a certain question that I've been asked, but put it this way, actually, I sat in a bit of a room, a Zoom Teams room yesterday, and I got asked to reflect on a job that I did and went to. Okay, so a job that I went to, there were 3 other people there. Now, it took me a little bit, but like I did everything correct. 5 touch points of talking to the customer, and I did everything correct. And without going into the story a little bit more, he asked me right then and there, what could I have done better? Now, I'm going to take this into trading as well. The thing that we could do better, you could always do better, always, okay? And when you think you can't, that is you and your mental rope holding you back, because you can, okay? You can. What you need to think what you could have done better. Even if you booked the call very professionally, you called the customer on the day, then you also gave them a call 30 minutes prior to you arriving. You held yourself professionally. You look professional. You got there and you met the customer. You shook his hand. You then started building rapport with him, you know, and the vehicle you rocked up in has all its branding on it, like everything was done perfectly. But did you present correctly? Yes, you may have shook his hand. Yes, you may have solved his problem, but did you connect with the customer? And that was my thing. I don't think I connected with the customer enough, because I went to follow him up and it's been 3 days in a row right now and he's just blocked me now. And that's me saying, okay, I don't want to be annoying. Okay. I want to simply help this customer. But at this point in time, I'm going to take it as a loss and take the reflection on it and journal it inside, either here or on paper. Just also remember, when you are journaling things, your mind is not a filing cabinet. But in saying that, mine kind of is. Okay. I remember a lot of things, everything. I do. I really do. Okay. But for some people, it could overload their brain and it could sometimes drain them, depending on how your brain works. It can be trained. Okay. Train your brain to do such things. When you reflect, okay, you're remembering. And when you're remembering, you're actually triggering a bit of an electrical circuit to train that part to remember. Your brain is a muscle. Your brain is also a magical thing, okay? In trading, we have a reticular activating system where we see patterns, okay? These patterns arise and give us some type of confluence inside the market. I see how I didn't say confidence, okay? Because confidence can make you perceive it in the wrong way, okay? You need to stay calm in trading, in sales, when talking to customers, anything. Stay calm. Do not react. Observe. And then take action. That's what I mean by that. Right here, right now, what I'm seeing, okay, is what I'm observing. I'm not thinking about the trade. I'm not thinking about winning anything right now. I'm observing if I zoom out to a bigger picture, we hit this, and then we haven't quite come back down to this descending channel. So it looks like we're kind of going back up. If I go to the 1 hour, what am I seeing? I'm actually seeing a bit of a ascending channel. Okay, so we're still moving up, but we could still potentially come back down to here. Now, what else am I looking at? This. Okay. Does this line up? We don't know yet. We don't know yet. So what I would be looking for is this. So I see this, and I also see this. So I'm looking for price to push out of this range right here. You know what I mean? So when price does that, I'm then going to look for certain things. Now, these certain things will trigger, I guess you could say, my attention, which is my reticular activating system, and says, okay, well, something's about to happen here. Look closely, watch, observe. So me observing right now, this right here, this is consolidation. This here is an order block, okay? We'll name it order block. Order block. This is on the hourly time frame. What I'm looking at is for it to wipe out these highs, which we've almost done. So if we come up to here, I'm looking for a push down. But if it breaks up here, I'm then looking for it to run and continue to this side up here. But we could also go like this, hit, bang, which will then mean that we've kind of hit not an all-time low, okay, but that there is a head and shoulder pattern descending. So we've hit this resistance line, okay, 3 times. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder, trigger to the neckline, push down. This push down will then give us more fuel in the market to actually then push back up. That's what I'm looking at. That's what I'm projecting or being aware of, okay? And I feel like being aware of certain actions will then determine what actions, you actually take. So yes, we could continue to the upside. Whoops. But we also could continue down here. Now this here would be into Saturday if we had a big movement, okay? But since I'm looking at the 1 minute time frame, we're actually going to delete this and see if I can see anything clearer right here. I do just want to hide this. So at the moment, RSI is quite low. This is just indicators again, okay? So we potentially have room to come up still. It's kind of stopped and hit this. At this point in time, I can't see anything, but that I'm happy with. Okay. So look at this though, double bottom. Boom, this is perfect, perfect, perfect. Down, up, boom, bang. And it did, it formed, right? The W, it came right down, but it retested, okay? Retested, look, it actually hit this order block here, then bounced up. So what I would have done was waited for it to form. I was like, okay, boom, there's an order block there, yes. Now, instead of keeping it tight, I would have waited for that. And my stop loss is always underneath the bottom of the W. And I always go for a 2 to 1. Two to 1 right there. Okay, beautiful trade. I could, yes, have gone to the tops, tippity top. There's another order block here. Did it hit it? Not yet. If I was to stretch this out, it's giving me more confidence that we're going to wipe out that. So we'll leave that there. I'm going to go like this from the bottom. Boom, boom. I'm going to go like that. This gives me confidence that we're actually still going to go up. Okay, so I also see this. Boom. And it could, this is another potential. So we could, if we don't break out of this, this is what I'm looking at right now. Perfect. If we don't break out upwards, if we break out upwards, I'm looking for a retest on this line, okay? But if we bounce here and hit here, I'm then waiting for it to then break out here and head for this line. I just spat on my iPad. But I will be taking profits. So once again, retest, boom. I'd be making a bit of an assumption to go that way, and that's fine. But if we break out and retest here, I'm looking up there for a 2 to 1. And the same thing under. So this zone here, not entering. Outside this, entering. Blue. Oops, wrong one, blue. Blue. Okay, did I just do the same thing? I did, damn it. Blue. Boom. Looking for it to break out here and here. So what are we going to do? Set. Look for opportunities. Is that how you spell it? Negative. How do we spell it? O-P-P-O-R. Oh, I forgot the R. And then the T-U-N-I-T-I-E-S. Okay, so if I go like this, so we can learn, because this is what we want to do, is just put the R in it, and then is that it? That's correct. Boom. So we're going to copy this one as well. We're going to create this. We're also going to then put in another one here. Boom. And we're going to paste it again. So we're just looking for opportunities, all right? That there is exactly what we're looking at. We're just going to go with that. Now I do have to go, okay? But this is what I'm looking at on the 1 minute time frame. We're looking for opportunities. Simple, clear, concise. Look, if you really wanted to, you could be really risky, right? Really just depends on your risk adverse. If it bounces here, and it could come up, you could make a quick trade from here to here and then bounce in again. But although that's a little bit following, it's like semi-following my plan and it's semi-not, if that makes sense. It's like, put it this way, the market's now arising my emotions to get a little bit greedy, to make a little bit more money, or to actually put in a bit of a trade. Well, it's not actually to make a little bit of money at this point in time. It's just like, I reckon I can make a trade in it. But you've got to be careful and watch out for these things, okay? I'm going to leave for 2 secs. I'm going to go downstairs, get some water, have a nut bar, and come back up and have a look, okay? Visualization. Right. So I've got me nut bar. Gourmet protein nut bar with dark chocolate and cranberry, gluten-free. It's probably the only packaged food that I actually eat. Look, there's no there's no real order block in here that says it's going to come down to here. You know what I mean? If it does, sorry, let me make myself a little bit more clear. The reason why I've drawn in this line here is because it looks like it's losing momentum to come down. But if it comes down, it's going to push past and break through this. If that makes sense. Look, if it comes to this line here, it is actually going to hit this order block here, which is fine, but then that's what we're looking for, whether it's going to collect orders to push higher or to break through. Sometimes I think to myself, how do I know what I'm saying? Just that. How do I know what I'm saying? How do I know? Boom, look for opportunities. Right now we're looking for a bounce or a breakthrough, okay? That will then determine, and I've actually left this tiny little order block here, okay? Because prices bounced and then created another new bar market right there. Next bar market right there. You see, we've bounced, but we could still break through. Nothing is a brick wall, okay? Brick walls can be broken through, 100%. What we've just done now is where that alert line is actually just collected orders, okay? That's what that order block is. We've collected orders. Boom. Look for opportunities. I'm looking. Is a bounce, okay? We're going to wait for next bar market as well. Next bar market just simply means next candle. Still bouncing. And this is what I was saying. If we really wanted to, we could put an order in. But see, that's risky because you don't know which way it's going to go. You don't know whether it's going to break through that. Pardon me. Or it's going to jump up. Okay, you don't know if it's going to do this. And then back down and bang, breakout, retest, up, or bang, break down, retest, bang. We don't know yet. Instead of saying we don't know, a better thing to say is I'm still observing. To me, that's it's really trying to bounce, and it's really giving me a concise idea of that support line is structurally strong at this point in time. At this point in time. Choose your words carefully. At this point in time. You've got to build me up. And I don't want to say the next words because ain't nobody gonna tear me down. Dun, 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 dun. Look, if I can actually see this pretty clearly as well right here, right now, we're actually boom, 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 boom. So this is also, if we go up, we tap this line again, potentially go to this next line. There's a tiny order block here, which is here. If I was to make a tiny trade, nope. See, and I'm going to stop myself right there. See, we've collected orders from this order block right here. This is orders, so we're either going to punch through or break down. Either way, it's giving the market acceleration in both directions, in either direction. Technical analysis, on point today, on point, 100%. If we're going down, we're going... Okay, yeah, look, market's still, like, we're in accordance to the RSI, so there's no divergence going on right now. So it doesn't actually tell me that there's a lot of power going, but it definitely looks like we're struggling to break past the support line. Ooh, ooh. Boom, all right. This is giving us a bit of an idea. We could be then targeting this line here. I'm going to leave this like this as well. We can come back to this later on. Maybe I'll do a bit of a reflection of how it actually panned out in the afternoon, but I do have to go. One key takeaway that I could have done better. Started the stream with a more clear and concise direction of what I was trying to say instead of letting my mind ramble. Boom. That's one key takeaway. Could have done better. Because I did do that. And instead of saying, I think I did this, I thought I should have done that, no. Reflection is being honest with yourself. That was a quick reflection on my behalf. I will do better. Thanks for joining, guys. Have a great day. We are Friday the 13th. If you see a black cat, it's good luck. You know how people say it's bad luck? It's what they believe. It's what they believe. I believe it to be good luck. Have a good day, guys.